Hello. In this lesson, we will follow three objectives. The first one is to add sprites and use broadcast to allow them to communicate. That's the first lesson, the first objective. Second objective is use the repeat or the loop or iteration function in Scratch. The third objective is to use variables to count numbers. So open up Scratch and then let's add some sprites. Now I'll use the bear as the first one, and so add, you can use your own. I'm using a bear, you can choose which one you want, and I'm going to reduce that to 60% of the normal size, and then I will add another sprite which is going to be the beetle. So feel free to pause the video whenever you feel that it's going too fast for you. So bear in mind, you should be putting the code specific to the sprite in the sprite. So click on the sprite and then add the code in there. So to start off with, go to events and add when the green flag is clicked, so that when you click the green flag, this program will start. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, great. So go to the looks block, and that will include the say function. So say hello beetle, how are you? So type that in. I went to the looks block, the looks section, category, and got the say block. And we'll say hello beetle, how are you? Now we want to send a broadcast message out to the other sprites. Well, at the moment we only have one, and you'll find that under the events category. So broadcast message 1. We only have message 1 here, but it's a good idea to use the same name but the different numbers as you go along, depending on the number of messages you have. So message 1, now I'm going to click on beetle. I'm going to say when the message is received, message 1 is received, the beetle should be doing something. So the beetle will say, I am fine, thanks for asking. Okay. Get another say block. I'll say, can you count to 10? Now, after this is displayed onto the screen, what we want to do is we want to broadcast the message out. Now, though the message was created for us automatically, from now onwards, we need to create our own. I'm going to call this one message 2, just to keep it consistent. And message 2 will mean it will flow after the first one. So, green flag clicked. Hello Beetle, how are you? Beetle says, I am fine, thanks for asking. It's waited, and can you count to 10? Go back to the bear, and the bear will have to count to 10. So now we've added sprites, we've added the save block, and we've sent a message from one sprite onto another sprite. Now it's the bear's turn to count up to the number 10. There are a few different ways of doing this. So first of all, in order to count, we need a counter. So go to variables, make variable, and make a new variable. I want to call this one counter, and then by default it should be applied to all sprites. Press OK, and now you have a new variable here called count. So on here, the bear needs to receive the message. It's quite easy to forget this. So when the message is received, what should happen? So we need to use control, which is, we could do repeat a certain number of times, but then the beetle might change his mind and ask for the bear to count up to 40. So we could do that as well, but what we want to do is use the if statement initially. So we want to say repeat until a certain number of time. Now we'll use a mathematical operator so that we can say when the number goes above a certain number, then it should stop. So let's go here and we will get the more than operator, and then I will say if it reaches more than 10, then it should stop. What should reach more than 10? Okay, we have a counter here, so get the variable counter and place it inside the green operator block, a mathematical math block. So we have repeat until the number reaches more than 10. We mean to change that later. What should it repeat? Okay, it needs to repeat a calculation. Now we want to also display that onto the screen. So the say block displays the message on the screen. Now what do we want to display? We want to display the number inside the counter plus 1. Or what we could do is we can do set the counter, change counter by 1. So each time it will change the number by 1. Now it does make a difference which goes first, change counter by 1 or the say block first. Now I'm going to put the counter in there just to make it easier to understand what I'm saying. So here it says change by 1 and then it will print. Let's look at what happens when we do this. So hello Beetle, how are you? I'm fine, thanks for asking. Can you count up to 10? Can you see it's counting 3, 4. Now I've done it slowly so that we can get an idea of what's happening, and I can explain this in the meantime. 6, 7, it's counting up. So it's changing by 1 and then it's displaying. Changing by 1 and then it's displaying. Okay, now it's gone to 11. The beetle asked the bear to count to 10, it's count to 11. The reason for that is because it's changing the number and then it's printing. So displaying on the screen. So look at what happens if I put that beforehand. Now the number is 11 here, so each time we press play it will carry on counting from there. So what we need to do, and it's a very good practice to do this, is set the counter to 0 when you start. Now let's run this what we say a tiny bit quicker, and I have 1 second there, so it should be running through a bit quicker than before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's keep going. 7, 8, 9. It should stop at 10. And there you go. So it does make a difference as to which block goes first, if you're changing and then displaying or displaying and then changing. So now what we've done is we've allowed two sprites to interact with each other using broadcast. We've used the say block to display messages on the screen for a certain period of time. We've used variables, we've used mathematical operator, and we've used a repeat function in there as well. So try that out. If you need to watch the video again, watch the video again and carry out what I've done. So it's taken me 9 minutes to explain this, so you should be able to do this in around 10 minutes. Again, you're free to watch the video over and over again, pause the video and watch it, and then after you've done this, go through the objectives and see that you've understood that how you've completed these objectives.